just an overview of what we'll be going over. We'll talk about data within the ecosystem, bringing your own data versus the hosted data. We'll talk about exploring access to hosted data and how you can submit a data access request in dbGap for hosted data. So what do we mean when we say BioData Catalyst is an ecosystem? Well, technically and architecturally, it is a secured cyber infrastructure of interoperable platforms that work together to enable various researcher-focused use cases. So within the ecosystem, a user can search and browse for available data, access workflows, and use the TopMed imputation server. And once a user has identified their data of interest and their data access has been verified, they may bring the data and tools into a secure workspace for analysis. One critical feature that has proven really important for our users is the ability to bring your own data into the system for analysis alongside our hosted data. So this really expands the kind of work that can be done within the ecosystem. Do note that you still need to have the correct approval depending on the type of data that you're bringing in. We do have a web resource about bringing in your own data if you want to have more information on that. So we do have general information about accessing data under the resources section of the BioData Catalyst website. And if you go to this webpage, you can explore all of the studies and the data that's available, as well as view release notes from our latest data release. But we do have data from TopMed and TopMed related studies. We have COVID data sets, BioLink, and we have publicly available data sets such as the 1000 Genomes project. And do note that the full list is available on our website and that the data availability is constantly changing. So if you want to see the most recent data that's available, you can go to our website. So now we'll talk about exploring access to hosted data in BioData Catalyst. And these next few slides are just going to be some examples of exploring some of the available studies. So here's an example from BioData Catalyst powered by Gen 3, exploring available studies, the hosted data prior to requesting. And here's an example from BioData Catalyst powered by 7 Bridges, exploring the different genomic data sets that are available. And an example from Picture, so exploring the phenotype data. And one question you might have is, what data do I have access to? Well, if you're a principal investigator or a designated downloader on an approved dbGap data access request, you can check the data you have access to on our website. So if you go to the data section, it's the same page I mentioned earlier where you might view what data is available. There is an area where you can check your access. You just click this button and you enter your NIH credentials, and it will give you a full list of the studies that you currently have access to. So this is a really handy feature to have. So let's talk about accessing and sharing data in BioData Catalyst. So BioData Catalyst has cloud-based secure workspaces. You must have a valid ERA Commons ID in order to access the different platforms. You would then launch your desired BioData Catalyst service and establish a workspace to share data and collaborate with authorized individuals, run computational analyses, and so on. You can search for data and submit a data access request through dbGap. So BioData Catalyst uses dbGap infrastructure for managing permission for hosted data. As mentioned, you need an ERA Commons ID to submit a data access request. These are issued through your institution. So if you don't have one, get in touch with your institution. They have their own process for authorizing these. And then to submit a request to access data, users must have a principal investigator status through their institution. Non-PI users must have a PI they work with that can submit a data access request and then add them as a designated downloader. And we do have some resources available for understanding access a little bit more. It's one question we get a lot is, how is access granted? So you can learn more through the link on this page, but there's also a YouTube tutorial from dbGap for data access request. So that might be handy if this is something that you need to complete. So what does the process actually look like? Well, first you would log into dbGap using your ERA Commons ID, using the authorized access page. There's a link here. Next, you would navigate to your projects. Then you would select the data sets that are of interest to you. You can search by primary disease type, or if you know the data set you're interested in, you can actually use the study lookup. And then you would actually do the actual request. So you would check the study that you want to add to the request, and you can actually request up to 200 studies at once. So if there's a lot you're interested in, you don't have to do this over and over. You can request up to 200. Now the request itself, you will need a research use statement and a non-technical summary. And in addition to that, you will need BioData Catalyst specific cloud use statement. And we do have template language available to help you with this. You know, there's different things you're gonna have to submit for the request, but we're here to help you. So it's not very, daunting or complex. And we do have this really handy resource with the template language for adding the fact that you're using BioData Catalyst for your study and for the data. So as I mentioned, these slides will be available on our community forum later. So if dbGap accesses, if a data access request is something you need to complete, this is going to be a really handy resource for you on this slide. And we also have people that can help you if you have questions about your request.